Hello, friends, and welcome to the most glorious of events, the Movie Mavericks podcast. This outstanding program is hosted by two fine gentlemen, Jason and Trevor. Now make it so.
MovieMavericks.com.
Hey, now everybody, welcome to episode 394 of the Movie Mavericks podcast. I'm Trevor Anderson. Since you have Jason Rugard, he's got a rundown for us.
On tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about the Oscar-nominated Maestro, as well as the big box office hit of the summer, Sound of Freedom, and Denzel Washington's The Equalizer, as well as the horror film Suitable Flesh. Trailers tonight for Roadhouse, Sleeping Dogs, Monkey Man, and Aggro Drift. We've got a lot to talk about, as well as Trevor making me defend some reviews on MovieMavericks.com. But first, as we always do, let's do some trivia. What do you got for me tonight?
Although lead actor Peter O'Toole is the person most frequently remembered for David Lean's epic 70mm masterpiece Lawrence of Arabia, Robert Bolt's superb screenplay and Freddie Young's breathtaking cinematography could also be cited as stars. The movie depicts blah, 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 we know. Lawrence of Arabia, yeah, okay. What actor appears in the film as Hawatat leader Abu Tayi? Omar Sharif, Anthony Quinn, Jack Hawkins, Jose Ferrer.
I believe it's Omar Sharif.
Yeah. No, who is it? Anthony Quinn.
Are you serious? Are you fucking
It's interesting because
serious?
I was back when white people played everything.
Well, he played a Greek man. He played everything. I mean, I think he's Italian. My goodness.
Yeah, I think so.
Ah, fuck. All right. Well, give me another one. Feed me another one. I've only seen
Right.
Lawrence of Arabia one time. Have you seen it multiple times?
No. It's a relatively. I find it boring.
Like boring. Dr. Zhivago. I couldn't get through.
Yeah, that one's really boring.
I couldn't get through. I didn't give a. I didn't get.
I mean, I get the majesty of the idea of that of those movies and stuff, but in real, I just find it boring.
Agreed.
All right. Desperate car salesman Jerry Lundegaard comes up with a poorly planned scheme that involves the kidnapping of his own wife in this black comedy.
Fargo?
Lord, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean,
We didn't even get to the.
some of these I read and it's just like, okay, well, it's too easy.
Yeah, how did we go from who stars in Lawrence of Arabia in this bit
I
part?
don't know. I mean, that one's probably technically easy too. We're just not for
Yeah,
us.
some people are out there screaming at us right now.
Okay, here you get one more.
All right.
What filmmaker was a professional bullfighter before directing such films as 7 Men from Now? Interesting. Anthony Mann, Bud Boiticher, John Ford, or Orson Welles?
My first instinct was to say John Huston, but that wasn't one of the. Man, I want to. Give me those again. It's not. I don't think it's John Ford, even though he did a lot of westerns.
Anthony Mann, Bud Boiticher. I can't read it. Boiticher?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, John Ford and Orson Welles.
Fuck, I'm gonna go Anthony Mann.
No. It was the Bud.
Was it Bud Boiticher?
Boiticher.
I read something interesting recently about all those westerns that were filmed, the John Ford westerns, the Searchers, and the John Wayne stuff in Monument Valley, and that they had done all those nuclear testings there, and a staggering amount of people that starred in those films and on those crews died of cancer. And they think it might have been correlated with those grounds still being radioactive. So, very interesting article I read a while back.
I believe it.
Yeah, they didn't know, obviously.
I don't know.
All that testing was going
on. Well, I mean, we hope not.
Well, they were also fucking living off only cigars, cigarettes, and whiskey for 95% of the day.
Yeah, right.
So, and then red meat only at night. It is what it is. Good times. All right, let's get into some movies because we've seen some things. Oscars were announced since we've last talked, and they say lots of snubs, lots of surprises. I find myself every year saying I'm not interested this year, and then ultimately I end up watching most of the movies that are involved, and this year I'm done the same. So far for the Best Picture nominees, I've seen Barbie, which I liked. We talked about on the last episode. And now Maestro. Are you planning on watching Maestro at all? Are you interested in this?
Not really.
Is it because of Bradley Cooper? Is it because of the subject matter? Or what's the deal?
I just don't care. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't strike me as all that interesting. I don't know.
Did you enjoy A Star Is Born? I can't remember where you stood on that one.
No.
I did. I surprisingly really enjoyed that.
I mean, that's not what this is, though. But
No, but it's a Bradley Cooper directed film. It's Oscar bait. And he's been in a ton of Best Picture nominees. Just looking over his filmography, a couple years ago, he was in two in the same year with Nightmare Alley
fair,
and Licorice Pizza.
We know what a Best Picture is at this point, right? It's a category, a film.
It is a subgenre in its own way.
So, yeah.
And this fits the bill perfectly. Released directly to Netflix, produced by Steven Spielberg and Martin Scorsese, directed by Cooper, written by Cooper, starring Cooper. And my opinion of the movie is it's very long, and I don't understand what it's trying to say. I got increasingly frustrated by it. It's
a true story, right?
Absolutely. Leonard Bernstein's true story, but it's not really about the music. It's not really about the career. It's about him being a gay man, and he has this woman who he loves, who's
I didn't know he was gay.
His cover, and the whole time he's battling between his love for her and his true self and the public identity. And and I have no problem with that as a subject matter and when it's handled well, but I feel like they made the same point in scene after scene after scene, and it's two brilliant performances by Bradley Cooper and Carey Mulligan as the wife, and a lot of strong supporting performances. But the movie that they're contained within is not very, I don't want to say convincing, because it's absolutely convincing in performance and in production design and all the elements, but it's not very involving. I didn't understand what it was trying to tell me about this man, or what he even thought about these things that were happening to him. I just felt like it was happening in front of me, and I didn't get involved at all. So that's why I'm kind of curious if you plan on watching it, because it is well done in all the departments. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like an artistic film. I don't know. I don't care. I see things like, Bradley Cooper spent 6 years learning how to conduct for this one scene. I'm done. Like, I'm already out. Like, I don't give a fuck. That's what you're going to tell me about the movie? I don't care.
Well, here, I'll tell you something that's the more interesting element that they don't bring up, is that it's got his music, obviously, in it, but some of the scores from movies, and in certain eras, it's shot like a 1940s film would be. It's lit like that. It's 4:3 for most of the movie, which they crop off the sides, so it looks like it's a full screen, like the movies used to be. And then in the modern times, color comes into it, and it goes widescreen. So there are artistic touches and flurries that I really liked, and I think the most powerful moment in the movie is a scene in which Maya Hawke, who plays his oldest daughter, comes home from summer camp, and she's heard these rumors about her dad, and he has to sit down, and he's trying to make a decision whether to be honest with her or tell her what she wants to hear. And I won't spoil it for you that haven't seen the movie, but it's very good. And I wish the movie didn't just keep hammering that same scene, though, over and over in different ways, because it said what it needed to say and then continue to say that, kind of like my review.
Well, this is why I don't watch, or I'm uninterested in most biopics, because people aren't that interesting, and they choose to, rather than focus on the thing that made them interesting, they focus on some human story that everyone has. And I just, I don't know, it makes it less interesting to me. I don't really care. Yeah,
I was very interested in Leonard Bernstein as a conductor, composer, and the artistic merit behind that, and didn't get much of that.
Yeah, well, but the reality is, for most of this stuff, and I own a lot of them, I would rather watch a documentary.
Yeah,
I just would, because it's gonna mention all this stuff, but it'll fly over it. It won't sit there and try and make this not some sort of an artistic expression or something, and it will tell you the actual shit that he's doing or whatever.
Once again, Cooper's great, Mulligan's great. The movie is very well put together. I just think that the screenplay, which is nominated, is not focused on the right aspects. I think that this is a aspect of the man, not the man. So I have to give it, unfortunately, a negative review. Okay, let's move on.
How dare you.
Let's talk about Sound of Freedom. I'm really curious to talk about this with you, because this was the hot button movie of the summer, if you will. It got politicized, and I don't really want to get into the political point of the movie or how it got taken over one way or another. I just want to talk
No,
about.
that's not really. It's not a political.
It's
movie,
not, but it
so
got
I don't know.
adopted in a certain way, and there was, it's just. It felt like there was it felt like if you went and saw it, you got labeled a certain thing, and if you didn't see it, you were, protesting certain things, and.
But I mean, and that's true, of movies that are like this, though. I mean, that's one. I mean, why is Chris Pratt constantly getting shit all the time?
Yeah.
So it is true. The culture war is real. I hate it. I'm tired of it. But it is real. It happens outside of things like Sound of Freedom. Like, you're definitely painted as I mean, toxic masculinity, I guess, would be the thing. Well, the easiest way to just describe exactly what you're painted as immediately when you try to watch any stuff like this.
And this,
anyhow,
it found great success in the theater. I mean, it grossed as much as the last Mission Impossible movie here in the States and Indiana Jones. So, I mean, this was the blockbuster that came out of nowhere. And I'm gonna let you go first because you saw it before I did. I'm just a little late to the party, and I'm really curious on your thoughts on this movie. Go ahead.
Sure. So I thought this was a fine movie. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was a great movie, but like emotionally, I thought it worked. And it's ridiculous. It's based on a true story. It is obviously nowhere near, true as to what happened, especially the ending. They go all out into just making this a fun movie rather than try to tell you the real story about what happened. Not that I don't believe that the events and certain things have happened, but especially in the way that things happen, it almost makes no sense. But it makes sense in the movie, if that makes any sense. Like, there's no way in most action movies like this. Like, sometimes people do things and it does, like, for instance, how does he know where to intercept the kid at the Mexican border? Mm-hmm. And he just happens to be standing there right as that kid happens to come across with his piece, like, that's the kid, this is the guy, let's get him. Like, that kind of setup, like, it's too perfect. Obviously that's not what that would probably be very hard to set up in real life. I'm not sure that actually happened, but I'm certain he's responsible for doing a lot of the stuff that's in this movie. And I don't know. I thought it was a solid action flick, to be honest with you, and something that I don't know, is very easily emotionally, like, as a man, I guess, as someone who's geared toward protecting the innocent, if you will. I mean, then maybe this goes too far in that sense, and it gets a little hokey, but I thought it worked for that.
Yeah, I was really surprised here. I didn't know what I was expecting, but I didn't expect anything this well made. This is a very well-made movie. I mean, it looks like a Soderbergh or a Sicario type situation here. Mm-hmm. This is not a cheap-looking, quote-unquote, faith-based movie or a, politically leaning movie.
Well, but it's not.
It's not. No,
I mean, it's not at all.
Well,
that's not even
Angel
what it is.
Studios produced it, and I know that they have.
But they picked it up after the fact, right? I don't believe they actually had a whole lot to do with it. I think no one wanted this.
Well, I don't understand why, because Jim Caviezel in this gives a great performance.
I think that's part of it.
I think he's fantastic in this movie. And
but the culture war poisoned this movie.
You know what, though? I would say that if this was, I could see that an early or a young Oliver Stone would have made something like this with, like, James Woods in the Caviezel role. I could see something like that.
Possibly, yeah.
Back in the day. And
you have to agree, though, that it's a ridiculous movie in that sense. Like, it's totally just a Hollywood.
But you know what?
Like,
okay, I'll say this.
Just balls to the wall. Like, this is what, like, as a man, like, this is just how it feels, and you want to go save these kids. You want to do this, and it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like, yes, you want to go do that. You want to, like, stand up for the innocent. You want to do this stuff. So it's just insane to me that anyone would look at a movie like this and be like, oh, this is bad.
Well, I'll say this.
Like, really?
As a story, this movie works in the moment. From moment to moment as the story builds.
Don't pay attention
it's a long
too much.
film.
Yes.
It's a full-bodied experience.
That was the other thing I thought. Like the Rambo ending,
I was just going to say, the third act,
much.
The second he goes off with the rebels by himself, this movie goes into Fantasyland. But before then,
well, it wasn't Fantasyland before that. But
it was. But before then, it's
totally off the trail.
It's watchable, and it makes sense. Like, every step makes sense. The second he's running around the rebel camp at night, doing these heroics, I thought, well, we've gotten far away from where we started. But it's very, very solemn. It's well done. It takes itself extremely serious. There's no humor in this movie whatsoever. So it feels even longer because it's unrelenting. And the subject matter is so fucking uncomfortable. I mean, I hate movies about, or anything. I won't watch documentaries about exploited children. I hate this subject. So,
but I thought this handled it really well, especially honing in and really taking it from his point of view.
And I saw at the beginning what he was doing and how he played the first pedo, and I liked that. And and there was a Heart of Darkness aspect where he's going deeper into the jungle and getting closer to the danger, and I kind of liked that too. So
and I liked that. I liked when he had to pretend to be like one of the bad guys. They're like, "This is what we have to do."
Right.
Like, yeah,
and so there was a lot of things in this movie I really liked. So I'm going to give it a positive recommendation and say that if you like, although when I was over it, I was thinking back on it. It was about as plausible as a Steven Seagal movie. However, in the moment, it works.
But it does make sense. Like, a lot of the stuff actually did happen. It just didn't happen the way that this movie tells it.
Right.
Like, this movie takes.
They're conflating and they're combining even the flow of it.
It's possibly worse than any of that. It's like totally made up for a lot of it. Like, it's like, here's some events that happen and stuff. Now you just make up some shit that also makes that happen and makes sense, but just be ridiculous about it, right? Just, this guy's a fucking badass.
You can tell by the story flow too. I mean, it's basically a short film for the first 30 minutes, and then it kind of stops again. After they bust the house. The Epstein's Island, if you will, and with the lady's name Giselle, for Christ's sakes.
But even then, when they, I know. But even then, when they do that, like, I like the whole like spy aspect of that, where they're having to get, and then they have to go get the donor guy because the government's not going to fund it anymore. Then that guy has to learn like how to like all that shit. As you say, unrelenting in a sense that this movie just keeps going and going and going and going. Like, it doesn't really give you a chance to breathe.
It reminded me, like I said, of early Oliver Stone, or even something like The Falcon and the Snowman, that Timothy Hutton, Sean Penn film from back in the day that was very bleak and very this added to this and then this happens. But like I said, this movie has a natural ending where they bust everybody on the island. Everything after that is so bizarre and so not needed that I thought, well, we're losing a little something here. And
that's what I thought too. I almost got bored a little bit with it, and I just thought, this is too, like, when he pops up behind that guy.
Yeah, I know. It's too Rambo. Like, even when he gets the gun thrown, pointed in his head on the island, and the guy, from stopping the other guy from taking the kid.
I didn't mind that so much in that moment, because he kind of had to like, he basically gave up, but he was lucky in that the other guy was able to talk him out of it. So I don't know, that the idea of like, being in it, like trying to fool like the evil with evil, that you are evil but you're not. Like, how would you deal with that? Like the inner, monologue the feelings would be insane to be in that position.
You brought up the guy who was the wealthy guy who was helping them out with the island.
Him, I like the fat ugly guy.
I like the
island too, smoking cigars all the time. I like him quite a bit. I was going to say the expat who was there, who basically is kind of like, he's almost like a Oscar Schindler type character, where he's buying he buys for their freedom, buys the kids and then sets them up and sets them free, basically, sets them up with a life.
That dude has a great monologue. I mean, it's a very disturbing monologue about how he got into the life, but he delivers it great. It's very good acting.
Yeah. But this movie has tons of those moments, like, that are highly charged, very emotional, and it just works, I thought, even though it's completely ridiculous.
But it also wears on you. I have to say, it's a very trying experience. For me, it was very trying to get through this movie. By the
time we got, especially after, once the island stuff was over, I was like, oh God, like, are we done yet? And then we had to embark on a whole new adventure, which was, I thought, too much. They really should have not done. They could have worked in the sister in the island,
Yeah.
They didn't have to do all that extra stuff. It was too much.
I agree. But like I said, I was surprised at the level of filmmaking, acting, and just overall the quality of the production.
Yeah, man, Jim Caviezel's freaking awesome, which I've known forever. Like, he's always been good in everything. He's so intense.
He plays haunted very well. He has haunted eyes. You know what I mean by that? Remember Angel Eyes?
Yes.
He did that very well in that movie, too, which I thought was an underrated movie. Obviously, played Christ, and he had haunted eyes in that. But here, he's so understated that it works, because people that he's around in this movie are over the top for the most part. So he's playing a level under, and they're kind of playing a level above. And it balances. I believe him 100% in this role. I really enjoyed this movie and him.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And I'm glad to see he's back doing something as opposed to just B movies and straight faith-based movies. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about The Equalizer 3. Denzel Washington's latest entry and maybe the last entry. I mean, this pretty much wraps up the trilogy. I'd say fairly nicely. And
I kind of hope so.
I guess I was a little.
To be honest with you,
Once again, I hate to use the word surprise, but wasn't expecting much from this one, and it has the shortest running time of all three. And I think I might have enjoyed Equalizer 3 the most.
Oh, it's still almost 2 hours long.
It is. It's about 1 hour and 50, but I think this is my favorite of the three. It's a little bit slower going of them, but I think these are all fairly slow. I mean, the first one particularly slow.
They have slow moments, for sure.
But the violence here is so brutal, and it's handled so well that I don't know what it is. I mean, the opening sequence at that vineyard with that one shot that follows them driving in and down to the basement and the gun in the eye and the shooting and all that shit, I just really dug. Now, some of Washington's mannerisms with him folding the napkin started to bug me after a while. And
I like that.
Did you like that? Yeah, I thought he was overplaying.
I did. I like that kind of slow stuff. Like he's doing his thing. He's living. But that's the Equalizer, man. That kind of shit was in all of them, but it was in less of this one. So I think that's why they put that napkin thing in there so much, because he really didn't do like the time thing,
watch.
like he normally does. He didn't do a lot of stuff,
Well, did you like it?
So I feel like that's why. But I love this movie. I thought it was really good. I thought this, and I would compare this to Sound of Freedom. It's the same idea. I thought, like, strong guy comes into town, falls in love with the town people, and has to fight and basically, stand up for and protect the innocent people. It's another like dad like movie where as a man you want to be protective, you want to be the protector, and this, I don't know, fit the bill. It's been so long, I guess, since I've seen movies like this necessary that weren't like about man-child, like how they've been doing recently, or not funny, right? Like usually you get like a lot of action comedies. People want to be, the star and this and that. And these movies were way more intense. They were way more subdued as far as the characters go, and way more intense for the situations that they would put people in. And like Denzel is this character in any of these movies, but especially in this one, it's just not fucking around, and I love it.
He is not fucking around as the Equalizer, and this is a signature
the
franchise.
bar scene or the dining room scene when they're in the restaurant and shit, and they calls that dude over, or that dude walks over to him to fuck around. He's just like, nah, not fucking around. And then the fucking action scene, like after that, as they go mount up, basically go fuck him up.
Fantastic.
It's fucking awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah. Antoine Fuqua does not fuck around when it comes to making action sequences too.
I love Fuqua's the fucking action, and that was the other thing about this, is that it felt like Fuqua again. Like Fuqua is back, like he's making straight action. It's just it's all about emotion. It's all about what's happening in the scene. People are getting fucked up and stuff, but it's headbutting. These two characters, or any of the characters, are actually acting as well outside of just the action.
Well, I've been watching a lot of Italian exploitation films, which lead back all the way to the sword and sorcery stuff and the westerns, obviously. And for me, as I'm watching this, I'm thinking this is basically an Italian western with the American gunslinger who's in Italy, who wants to retire and is pulled back out. You know what I mean? There's a lot of these tropes that this movie is playing on, and with Washington as the old cowboy, if you will. And I thought he and the townspeople, they did just enough with the townspeople where I thought it was still charming and interesting and not overdone. I didn't get bored with it. You know what I mean? It was just the right amount of that shit.
Yeah.
Because I thought, oh, God, he's going to go with the girl, and then the cop with the kid, and then the doctor. But it was charming in the way that they did it, so that when there was violence against the town, and I want to say that they shot Italy beautiful, or Sicily, or wherever the fuck that they were at, and a lot differently than we've seen even in Mission Impossible recently and Fast X. So kudos for the way that they're shooting this.
It was meant to be cut off.
It's claustrophobic.
Right, because there was even, there were cops in this movie, right? But the cops were owned by they tried to explain like why this shit was capable of happening in this area, because it really doesn't make any sense at all. because
there's only one cop.
It's weird. It's like
right?
they're in a city, but they're not in a city. It's fucking weird.
It's basically a Western town. You have to think about it like that. There's one guy who sells fish. There's one guy who sells
I don't know. There's
clothes.
a whole cop precinct and stuff there. It's not but that's not the Western town. That's like the street. They're on a street.
He goes to the same cafe that seems to be in the
he
corner.
Literally walks down the fucking street and walks back up the street. Like that's the whole fucking town. But it's not, because there's a whole area around it. Like it's fucking weird. I thought that it was weird.
It had been a while since I had seen something with Denzel Washington, and I think the last one I watched was that terrible one he did with Jared Leto a few years back with the serial killer and the cop, the Nightfall or some.
Oh, I didn't mind that one, but yeah,
I didn't care for that. So
weird.
To see him in something like this, where he's commanding and it's a good movie, like I said, it reminded me of these Italian westerns, but also reminded me of his collaborations with Tony Scott. And I'm just, as I'm watching this, I'm lamenting the fact that we don't get another Tony Scott movie, and what was taken when he died. So that sucks.
Yeah, I'm just glad. I want Fuqua to do more action stuff like this. I prefer to have him back doing this. He's really good at it.
I do too. When he shoots for the Oscar stuff, it's commendable. He's doing that Michael Jackson biopic right now, and if done right, that could be an Oscar contender. It's definitely going to be controversial, I'm sure, but when he sticks with the action stuff, he just is he brings a touch of class to it, is what I should say.
It's like he's at home. It's like watching someone doing what they're meant to do.
Well, he started with this stuff, with the Replacement Killers and all those music videos.
Of course he did, and they're all great movies in my opinion. A lot of the action stuff is, but when he gets more into dramatic stuff, even in the action movies, like those are the moments that I think are like kind of the worst parts.
I mean, Training Day's a motherfucker, though. That's a great movie.
Of course.
Yeah, that's a great movie. Well, we're both positive on that. Now let's talk about Suitable Flesh. What the fuck is Suitable Flesh?
So this is a movie, so it's a Shudder original, so you can go watch this on whatever, AMC or Shudder, whatever you have. Streaming now. It's essentially a Stuart Gordon movie, but of course can't be because he died.
Stuart Gordon of Reanimator and yes, all those good stuff.
Yes, so Stuart Gordon of yes, right, of Reanimator and From Beyond. So this is much like that. This is a Lovecraft story. H.P. Lovecraft, and like I said, it has Barbara Crampton in it, who was in both of those, and it feels it's from Dennis Paoli, who also wrote those and stuff. So it feels like a Stuart Gordon movie. Like, incredibly enough, it feels like a 90s VHS Full Moon-esque, like just straight up, Empire Pictures, like some damn Stuart Gordon shit, and I thought it was really entertaining. I really got into it. It's hypersexual. It's violent. It's intense. It makes almost no sense. It's like dream sequence like for some of it. It's fucking weird. Off the rails. I thought it was good. And it's basically a body possession movie.
It definitely sounds like a Stuart Gordon film. From everything all the things you just listed off there.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts. It's nuts. But I don't know. I love the violence and the weird sex and just all of it. It just felt like 30 years ago.
Perfect. And this is on Shudder right now. You said it's available for.
This is on Shudder right now. If you like that kind of stuff and you know that you do, or you know that you don't. So that's my recommendation to you based on that. If you liked, Reanimator, or
I love Reanimator, Bride of Reanimator,
Bride of Reanimator, or
From Beyond,
From Beyond, yeah. Which I personally love From Beyond. Reanimator, I don't know. I like it, but From Beyond is fucking awesome.
Did Stuart Gordon also do RoboJocks? Yes. Okay.
RoboJocks. Yeah. Stuart Gordon's a fucking legend, man. Go back and watch any of the old stuff. Fucking great. Space Truckers. We were just talking. You were just talking about that.
Stuart Gordon.
Yeah. Great. Good shit. Yeah. So I thought this was a great movie. I recommend it if you like horror movies.
Anybody recognizable in it?
Horror
Is
movies.
it any familiar faces?
Oh, Heather Graham.
Oh shit. Okay.
Plays the star. Bruce Davison is in it for a second. And like I say, Barbara Crampton. It's small cast. Who
made it? Who's the filmmakers? Good. Do we know? Are they anybody notable?
Joe Lynch directed it. I don't know that he. I don't
he's
really
done a couple things. I want to say
know
I
of
know
him,
that
but
name.
he's done
yeah.
things. Yeah, so he has done stuff. Let me look here real quick, just so I can say.
I want to say it wasn't one of the Saw films, was it? That was those.
Everly, he's done.
What would I have seen that?
I don't know if anyone remembers that movie. That was a Salma Hayek thing.
Yeah, that yes, that was that action.
Knights
films.
of Badassdom. I don't know if anyone remembers that. He did Wrong Turn 2.
That's what I'm thinking of. Wrong Turn 2.
And I don't know. He's done TV stuff. He's done Shudder stuff, like the creep show stuff, stuff like that. He's not a big name, but it's really well directed. Like I said, like if you were trying to ape Stuart Gordon and make this look like a Stuart Gordon movie and fit into, like you could easily watch Reanimator, From Beyond, and this, and they would feel like they were in a coherent H.P. Lovecraft universe. Looked over by Stuart Gordon.
It's of a piece, is what you're saying. So sounds like it's a fucking good movie, is what it sounds like. I mean, I used to like those kind of movies.
I got into it. I honestly got into this more than I should have. It's ridiculous. It's fucking H.P. Lovecraft. It's fucking weird. It's a body swap thing, so people are swapping bodies left and right. It's hypersexual. It's weird sexual. So I don't know. I mean, but it's not like the sex isn't graphic, but it is. I thought it was like intense. Like there's weird moments.
Oh, bro, weird hypersexual. It sounds like it's Sleepwalkers.
I don't know what to say about it, but it's not. It's not like. But it is. But it's like people just walking up and grabbing, pussy.
It's not some
shit.
Ken
like,
Russell
just
shit.
Fucking, just weird shit. Yeah, just off the wall. Like there's no way. And then like people just going with, just being like, oh yeah, like they can't help themselves. It's just like this dreamlike, like. For instance, there's a lot to do with like she in the movie. She's a psychiatrist. Heather Graham plays a psychiatrist, and this kid comes to her and he's like, "I got a problem. My dad's fucking trying to take my body," and that's where the whole thing. That's basically the whole fucking movie. And so she puts people into like trances and stuff to help them, right? And so she finds herself in a sense because this guy's basically working with like an evil demon, H.P. Lovecraftian fucking evil demon spirit thing. He's putting her in a trance, right, and putting other people in trance and stuff. It's fucking good. Just watch it, all right?
Well, I don't have Shudder, so I'm gonna have to.
It's called Suitable
check
Flesh.
It out when it comes out on Prime or something like that. But,
well, it's Shudder exclusive.
Oh,
so
shit!
I mean, it's made by them. You might have though, depending on because you have cable, you might have AMC
I think
Plus.
I might
if you
even.
do, you have Shudder. Yeah. If you do, you have Shudder.
This is a rare night where I think you've given a positive review to all the movies that you've seen on this show, and I have as well, except for Maestro. So look at us. When people say we're being too negative, shut the fuck up. We are being honest.
It just has to be the right movie. Actually, most of the movies we've talked about, to be fair, remind us of older
good movies.
It's like shit coming back, coming back around finally. We got the cycle back,
Well, and also to be fair, the movies that we're talking about were big hits. I mean, Maestro is nominated for Best Picture. Sound of Freedom was a huge box office hit. So was The Equalizer.
Yeah.
Sure, Suitable Flesh will do well as well if you're saying it's as good as it is.
It's making the rounds. People are talking about it. I mean, obviously it's a Shudder thing, so it was made for streaming. It's on a very particular horror, only streaming service thing. So it's kind of hard to get, but people are talking about it. And I don't blame them. It's pretty damn good.
All right, let's move on and talk about the trailer section of today's show. And I think the biggest trailer and the biggest topic, because I want to talk a little bit about what's going on with the movie, then we'll talk about the trailer. This is Roadhouse. This is the Jake Gyllenhaal-led, Doug Liman-directed film. It's got Conor McGregor, the UFC star, in it, and as well as a bunch of other people in supporting roles. But this movie is getting a lot of notoriety at the moment because it was supposed to come out in theaters. That's been ditched for a March 21st release on Prime. Doug Liman, the director, is boycotting the premiere at South by Southwest this year, saying that this should be released theatrically. And I'm a little curious what your thoughts are on this because The Beekeeper's doing well right now. We're talked about these older action-type movies that are doing well. They just announced Lavon's Trade with Ayer and Statham returning together and Stallone writing and appearing in it. That's going to get a wide theatrical release. This Chris Pratt movie that they're talking about is going to get a wide theatrical release. This will not.
No, this is going to go. This was made by Amazon for streaming. Apparently, I mean, Lehman's pissed because they lied to him, which I don't. Fine, I get it. Like they told him basically they would see. We'll give this a release. Don't worry about it. When we see, and he clearly feels like he created and gave them a masterpiece, a fucking tentpole. Actually, I think is what he calls it.
A franchise starter.
If I'm not mistaken, which I think is ridiculous and not true. The movie, if we'll talk about the trailer, the movie looks good. It looks fine. It's not Roadhouse, though. I don't know. I feel like there's no reason to call this Roadhouse. It's unnecessary. I don't I like Roadhouse better than this already. I don't like the UFC stuff in here. I don't like this character feels, I don't know, hokey to me a little too much. Whereas in Roadhouse, like he was like centered. He was like, when he went into town, he got the beater car. He did he had a whole system, a whole thing that he went and did that was interesting. And this, it's like he knows how to fight, and he's a fuck up. As you mentioned Rocky, I think earlier when we were talking about this, you said it sounds like Rocky, kind of, but that's not Roadhouse. Seems weird to me. And it's flashy, it's smooth, it's it looks like it was made today, but I don't know. Would this do huge numbers? I doubt it. We're talking about The Beekeeper, but The Beekeeper hasn't done big numbers. It's done fine, and I don't think that Amazon would want to put this out and have it do okay, and then somehow sully it in that way when they can just dump it straight to streaming. And it doesn't need to make money in the box office. This movie's made and paid for already. It was made for Amazon streaming. It's paid for. This is very different than like Warner Brothers or Disney making a movie and dumping it onto their streaming service, because their system isn't set up the same way as Amazon or even Netflix is, right? They don't need the theatrical stuff. So I don't know. It's a little bit unfair maybe to Lehman or to anyone who jumps into these types of movies to expect a theatrical release, or to be even told that they would get one, when clearly that's not even how how this part of the business is going to work, and it doesn't. And I don't know. I've seen so many people online, especially Lehman and other people, kind of basically saying, that now what would you say, like that they've in some way made the movie less than, right? I mean, instead of having a theatrical release, it goes straight to streaming, so they don't get to see it on a big screen, so that makes the movie less than.
Well, because it's not a real movie then, right?
In
their mind, because it didn't get a theatrical release.
Is that, yeah, right. That's what I'm trying to say too, but I don't know how to put that now.
I think that they should definitely put this in theaters. I don't care how good this is. There's nothing right now in theaters. They need material. There's no reason not to dump this out there. At worst, it does a little bit of business. At best,
well, there is a big reason.
It does.
that would be bad. That would be bad. Word of mouth would be bad.
It's still going to get views on Prime. When they dump it on Prime, it'll have cast a wider of a net. People will have heard about it. The marketing will get through. I think people will be more inclined to watch it.
People will hear about it already. I disagree entirely.
I think there's too many UFC fans that would go see this just because of Conor McGregor's involvement. I think that.
Oh, they're going to see that. They're going to watch it on Prime, though. It's better that they watch it on Prime than they go to a theater, right? For Amazon, for the people who made this. Like they're not interested. Amazon doesn't give a shit about helping the theaters or helping the movie business outside of Amazon Prime.
I can't imagine they're going to attract much talent after this, because it seems like Netflix and Apple at least is the ones taking a chance and putting this out there.
Well, they can have fun with it, because most of the movies, especially even on Apple, I think, are not very good. They're not building a very good library. I don't think you need talent to build the library that these guys are building anyways. So,
well, I mean, shit, they got Killers of the Flower Moon, which is Best Picture nominated right now, and a couple other things like that.
But it doesn't, I mean, Oscars are nothing. In the grand scheme of everything, there are lots of Oscar winners that just aren't worth anything. To have a library like that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Like, you got to have some movies that people want to rewatch, right? And I'm not seeing that from any of these movies that people are making, including at Apple, even though they're trying to go for the prestige aspect. Like Netflix definitely has that angle. And so does Apple, for sure, is trying to do that. I don't know. Amazon feels more like it's just making whatever. Well, I mean, which is probably more realistically better.
They released,
I don't know why waste
Boys
time.
in the Boat. It's doing $50 million right now at the box office. That's a surprise to them. That's got to help some sort of something. And Creed 3 did $300 million worldwide. So at very least, I mean, if Roadhouse does $100 million worldwide, how can that hurt its profile? it just raises it, and then it goes on to Amazon. You've made all the filmmakers and all the cast members happy, and at worst, you may start a potential franchise. That's why I don't see the downside of releasing it theatrically. I know that it doesn't.
If it only makes the 40 million or whatever that the Beekeeper. I mean, Beekeeper will be like 60. So I actually don't know what's going to happen with any of it because it's so weird right now. But the Beekeeper still has money in it to be made. But I don't know if it does. What if it does less than that? What if it did just what the Beekeeper did? I don't think that's good. It's Roadhouse, right? It's supposed to be. I mean, when I listened to Doug Liman talk about this movie, it's fucking amazing, right? It's a tentpole movie. It's a fucking summer movie. Right?
Well, let's talk about the trailer then. Let's get into the actual trailer. I think it looks great. I was highly impressed at this trailer. I like that they moved it to Florida. I love that beginning part where Gyllenhaal's asking about the insurance. The scenes where he's an ex-UFC fighter living in the car, that's all stuff that could be taken from your regular Scott Adkins film. I mean, I think he's done that same scene 3 or 4 times, Castle Falls and Legacy Lies and things like that. But I like the look of the film. I like the vibe of it. I really think that there's a certain energy to even the trailer. And I was juiced to see this. I mean, I really was kind of impressed and thought, wow, this looks like something better than what I was expecting. And the only thing I had to judge it off of is obviously the original, but that terrible sequel they did, that Last Call sequel with Jonathan Sachi. I mean, so that was just fucking terrible. And they killed Dalton off screen, the Patrick Swayze character. So I'm curious how this all becomes and what this becomes. But the chances of there ever being a sequel, spin-off, or franchise are dead in the water already.
I don't know about that. I mean, Lehman might not come back for it.
I don't think Gyllenhaal would either.
I mean, I don't know. Would he come back anyways? I don't know. Like, it's really weird. It feels like a one-off movie anyways.
Well, what do you think? What were your thoughts?
I don't know. I think it's grossly misses any of the things that made the original good, which is why I don't think this should be called Roadhouse. Yeah, I don't know. It looks like a normal, just everyday action movie from today. It doesn't look like it has any real pizzazz or meaning to it. I mean, the thing looks slick. I don't know. It looks fun. I want to see it, but I feel like I'm definitely going to not care about this after, like, the next day after I see it. And that, yeah, I don't know. Even if I saw it in the theater, I think I'd probably feel the same way. Like, I don't think this has the ability to launch a franchise regardless.
Not even a cult classic?
Oh, fuck no. As compared to the original, this has none of that, of what the original had in it. There's no way I would discover this if no one had told me about this version of Roadhouse and based on the trailer, and if I had seen that just out of the blue, like, oh, I just came across it, it would be like, I'd be like, all right. I mean, it was all right.
I mean, the fact that they won't have Jeff Healey in the Jeff Healey band, they're already. I mean, just that weird touch of having a blind musician in the fucking movie playing behind a cage. It was like, what in the fuck is happening in this movie?
Well, one of these things was small and quaint and like felt like you felt lived in, felt like you could be. Like you could be that person, you could be Dalton, you could be in there. Like minds were working, you know. In this one, Jake Gyllenhaal he can fight.
It's too cool,
and that's it. And he's fucking cool and everything, and he can fight. And it's like, yeah, but that wasn't like, how is that going to play out with the rest of the movie? Like, I don't know, and I don't know. Maybe the trailer just doesn't show like, as with anything. Maybe the selling here of this just got fucked up. Maybe there's an even better movie somehow underneath all this. It's possible.
I'm a Gyllenhaal fan. I'm a Lehman fan, and I look forward to seeing this on the 21st. And I hope there's a better movie even than the trailer is. But so far, I'm stoked. And I think that the trailer is garnering a shitload of views right now, between 1, 2, and a shitload.
Well, it's possible then maybe they'll get some sort of a theatrical.
I was
release,
thinking that. Do you think that because kind of like a social media cry out or?
Well, if that and if the numbers are good enough on streaming and stuff, they might go ahead and do it out. And not only for those reasons, but also, as you said, the slate's pretty open right now, so they have room to put this into some screen somewhere, even if it's just a small wide release. You know?
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about the Russell Crowe starring Sleeping Dogs. Talk about a streaming film. I thought this was going to be definitely a direct-to-streaming release, and then I saw only in theaters.
Yeah, how is this coming out in theaters?
And it's not that it looks... Not that there's anything wrong with it. This looks like your average thriller, homicide thriller.
I want to see it. I think it looks good, but yeah, it does look. It has that streaming
100%.
feel.
This looks like it. I mean, this could have starred John Cusack or Nicolas Cage and come out, on your local streaming service.
The John Cusack thing is on point. Yeah, I agree completely. But I don't know. I think Russell Crowe it looks really great in this role, and I would like to see him keep doing stuff like after watching. The Pope's Exorcist and Unhinged and stuff. He needs to keep doing these kinds of roles where he's like the older gentleman who gets himself into I don't know, certain positions where he's got to fight his way out.
That's exactly the character he played also in the Peter Farrelly directed Greatest Beer Run with Zac Efron a couple of years back.
Oh,
where
there
he was
you go,
the wartime photographer.
The rough, gruff, like kind of a guy. Like in this, he's basically playing the detective who needs to keep himself busy, but winds up getting involved in this case with some murder guy, and then nothing makes sense, and the guy looks like he's innocent, but he's on death row, so now he's got to go through and do the right thing and all this kind of stuff. But in the meantime, he also apparently has something wrong with his fucking brain, and they're shocking him and shit. So he doesn't remember shit. He doesn't know what the fuck's going on. It's like,
this movie would have been a solid box office performer in like 2004. But the problem is we're in 2024, right? And I have no idea how this is being released in theatrical.
They did. Angelina Jolie would be in it as well.
For sure. I mean, this is definitely something along those lines.
John Cusack and Angelina Jolie, 2004.
Maybe even Uma Thurman. I have no idea.
Oh, there you go. That's actually good too. Yeah. That would work as well.
Man, I mean, I saw this, and like I said, the most surprising thing about this trailer, other than the fact that I was like kind of intrigued by it, was when it said opening in theaters only March 22nd. I thought, holy shit.
No, what you thought was, there's no way I'm fucking watching this on streaming.
For sure, I thought, when can I stream this? I thought it was a Netflix release, to be honest with you, just because the color palette. I don't know why I thought that.
I thought there's no way. You want to know what's going to happen if you go and watch this movie in a theater? There's going to be nothing but, coughing and snoring happening all around you.
There's people in there. I think there's going to be no one in the theater if I go see this.
No, I thought there's going to be old people,
Fucking the matinee is sold out. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, well, that's what you go out there. You go out there 6 or whatever.
You'll be fine. Tuesday, the 5 o'clock show. It's sold out all day.
It'll be full.
You won't see it otherwise.
Going at 3 early bird special.
All right, our next film is Monkey Man. That's a stupid title for a movie, and this is Dev Patel's directorial debut. He writes, stars, and directs as an action hero / superhero folklore. This is like a Bollywood John Wick. And Dev Patel is positioning himself as the ultimate ass kicker. While the movie, to me, in the trailer at least, has some decent shots in it, I'm getting a little worn out of this everyone's the ultimate badass thing. And I think that this is quite laughable. I don't understand why the artistic flair has been given to this, or the okay that this is... Who the fuck names a movie Monkey Man? I mean, in the mask he puts on, I thought this trailer is 2.5 minutes long, and a minute and a half into it, I was done with this fucking trailer. So I was... Oh,
this trailer's more than... No, this trailer is over 3 minutes long. Is it really?
I was bored in this trailer.
Yes. It is way too fucking long. First, I think... I'll go the exact opposite of you. I think this movie looks pretty good. I don't think it looks great, but it does look good. It's interesting, and it's very Indian. It's Bollywood. Very... Asian, yeah, it's in that sense. So, which I don't mind. I'm fine with it because it's still very Hollywood. It's still very slick. But yeah, I am tired of the John Wick-esque stuff that they've been doing lately, and this feels like RRR done as if it was John Wick. That's exactly what this feels like. And as you say, there's like weird flares of like eccentricity in the art side of this movie that I don't know what they're trying to do other than John Wick for some of it. I don't really understand why they're doing it, but maybe that's because it's a different culture, so maybe there's something different there. Did you see RRR?
I started, to be honest with you, that's the Bollywood film that was nominated for Best Picture last year. I started watching it, and it was really good. I never finished it, and it's one of those things I should have. It really was long, but it was very well done.
But that one was really
and I
good.
liked those
but this one
flourishes
looks
that it had in it, that movie.
But this one looks very different than to that, to be fair. Like, this one's way darker, this one's way slicker, this one's way more Hollywood. Like, that movie was brighter, it was happier, even though there was lots of fighting and death and everything. It just had the brighter side of action. Yes, there was two men, coming together, as we do on the show all the time.
We're just touching tips over here, just touching tips.
Becoming friends. Yeah, right. And so RRR was a very different movie than this. But this feels like some revenge movie where the guy's like, he's basically like the Indian Batman, where he's like, I come from the streets, but I come up, but then I have to like protect people in some way. It feels... I mean, he's not rich like Batman, but he's in that sense like a superhero, like a dark superhero.
Meets John Wick is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
For me, it's a strong pass.
It'd be a streamer, if anything, for me, a curiosity thing.
Not interested in it, and I just think everybody now can do a spinning back kick, and I'm just not fucking impressed. So,
back in the day, only if you were Van Damme and selected the few.
Even Seagal couldn't do a kick.
Well, Chuck Norris, yeah. Oh, yeah. Even his best day, Seagal would fall on his ass.
All right. The last film on tonight's show is Harmony Korman's latest experimental production. This is, to be fair, this trailer that I saw was only about a minute and a half long. This is a pretty short trailer.
Yeah, for sure.
It's called Aggro Drift, and there's a number, the number 1 in the drift word. So where the F is, typically there's the letter number 1
for the I.
Is that what it is? Okay, so there's a 1 where that says Dr1ft, and this movie looks like it's been filmed through infrared, or it's only the color spectrum, right? It's just that's all it is on this.
Well, it's heat, right?
It's heat vision. Is that what's happening here?
So they use like a FLIR type camera or something to shoot it. I'm pretty sure that that's what they did. I don't believe that they use special effects after the fact. I think that this was actually shot with like a FLIR-like camera.
Sense.
And then special effects afterwards, put on if needed or whatever. So I think it looks kind of cool. It's interesting as far as like a experimental thing, but it's a big ask to watch a full-length feature film in some experimental stage like that.
Yeah, even like I said, once again, the trailer was starting to get to me after a while. I thought these are some very interesting shots, but if it wasn't shot in this way, if it was just staged normally and showing me what was there, would it be as interesting? I don't think so on a couple of these things. But because it has that heat vision or the infrared kind of look to it, it gives you, it looks like Predator vision, right? And it looks like everything's looking through the...
That's exactly what it is, yeah.
When they're showing that demon or the guy on the boat, those things look a little bit more psychedelic or trippy or whatever you want to call it. But I don't think it would be... I don't know what the fuck the story is. There's no story in this trailer. It just exists, and there's some sort of guy running around who's got the voice of Jorge Molina, and it's... I have no interest in this. I mean, would you? This looks like Hardcore Henry or one of those kind of shoot 'em up or one of those gimmicky type movies.
I'd watch this. I mean, that's a bit of a rough comparison. Hardcore Henry's like an actual movie, even though it's like you're right, experimental in the sense that it's like first person, but it's I don't know, a real movie. This feels like, I don't know, some Yadarski type shit, like some fucking it's Harmony Korman. Like, I don't know.
It's been a while since I liked a Harmony Korman film, to be honest.
Really? I don't know. I've liked
which ones?
Quite a few.
It wasn't Beach Bum. It wasn't Spring Breakers.
Yeah, I like Spring Breakers quite a bit. Wow. Yeah,
it was good eye candy. That's about it for me.
It's a good movie. But yeah, he makes weird movies, so this seems weird. It kind of feels like it has a video game aspect to it in a lot of sense. So it's very like, and I think with those visuals and stuff, that he's going for like kind of an 80s vibe for a lot of it, which it kind of fits with the colors. And it's kind of post-apocalyptic in a bit of a way. That's the best I can describe it. I don't know. It's like a weird, trippy fucking movie.
I would say out of all the trailers on tonight's show, watch Aggro Drift just to see what we're talking about. But I do think the best trailer on the show is that Roadhouse trailer, and I am excited to see this movie. I think that Jake Gyllenhaal is actually really underrated as like an action. They could have pushed him more
as an actor in general. He's great.
Even as an action guy. I mean, he was really good in Ambulance. I've liked him in the action movies he's done, whether it be Prince of Persia or Southpaw or whatever it is.
Well, he's a good actor. I think that's what he brings to the table, right? So it makes it definitely elevates that type of material.
In The Covenant, I know we talked about that a while back, but just him in that, I thought, made that movie so much more than it was on page,
Yeah.
He brought to it. Well, that's going to wrap up our episode for tonight. We want to thank you guys, as always, for joining us on this podcast. If you haven't yet, go to MovieMavericks.com. Check out the latest reviews. Check out our back catalog on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you're getting these podcasts. Rate, review, and like the show. Speaking for Trevor Anderson, I am Jason Rugard, and we are the Movie Mavericks.
Oh my, another magnificent episode has come to an end. If you're craving more, set your destination to MovieMavericks.com, Warp 9. Engage!